Hello, ladies and gentlemen, seniors and youth. Shingbum Gymnasium is the place to be for basketball on a warm Tuesday night. Matching up for the first time in this group is the Taoyuan Pauian Pilots against the Bishrelt Mental. I'm Ryan Chen, proud to be presenting this game from the English commentary track. I'm joined by my good buddy and probably going to be taking me the way through is Josh Bett.
Well, Ryan, first of all, thank you so much for the introduction. This has been an outstanding start here to this window in Chinese Taipei. And as we've seen so far, Taoyuan, they've been outstanding. A win tonight will ensure that they cement a position to the BCL Asia East Final Four.
Now, in this competition, the host teams will host the visiting teams, at least most part, 3 games in 4 nights. And it's been a challenge, but the Pilots have won the very first 2 games and look to solidify, as you said, the first place spot in the standings. At worst, they can do as at least a 3-way split. There's too much math going on. We're going to focus on basketball coming up as they top the group. Pelita Jaya in 2nd place, NS Matrix Deers by points in 3rd place. Bishrelt Mental controls their own destiny with a very crucial final matchup against Pelita Jaya for the 2nd place in the group.
Well, you know, you said a win for Bishrelt Mental tonight will make things a lot smoother for them. But remember, they've also got to host one of the upcoming windows when we go to Mongolia. You know, tonight, they are missing one of their key national team players, Ahmad Basketbal, who was phenomenal in the 2025 FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Look, we know that Taoyuan Pauian Pilots are the favorites, but anything could happen. When you host 3 games at home, fatigue is going to be a factor.
Well, despite saying that, I want to wonder, is Bishrelt Mental's best strategy is to run the floor as much as they can, not get bogged down in the half court where the Pilots' size might play a factor?
Possibly, but again, when you are missing key players, you've got to play within yourselves. I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Sepelis, Evangelos Sepelis, the Greek national, changes up the defense, maybe a bit of a 3-2 zone. But one thing they're going to have to make sure they, capitalize, second chance points. They've got to go in for as many offensive rebounds as much tonight.
As you mentioned, personnel-wise, they'll also be short as well. Only on their active roster, we see Wesley. Will he be expected to carry the scoring load, and how will the Pilots try to create a game plan around defending him in the squad?
Well, sometimes when you have a one go-to player, that does make things quite comfortable for your defense. And this is where players such as, Asaya, Batsurik, they've got to step up big time. And as I said, transition points, second chance points, they've got to find other ways to score. But, Ryan, when we talk about Taoyuan Pauian Pilots, they are a tough team to go up against. We saw that already with Pelita Jaya. And as we mentioned, a win tonight, they'll be going to that Final Four of BCL Asia East.
As you kept on bringing up in previous broadcasts, it's their first time on such a stage. And I will give them a compliment. Those jerseys look really sharp.
Oh, absolutely. I think both teams definitely come out with a lot of fine fashion. But, when we look at Taoyuan Pauian Pilots, depth is going to be in their favor tonight. They have a lot of options they can go to. And as we've already alluded to, being a home team, you do have to play 3 games. They've had 1 day's rest, and I'm expecting them to learn a lot from the game against NS Matrix Diz.
Yeah, fatigue might be working against them, but I think one thing for being a commentator for Irgi Caminos' games for a few years, he expects the teams to play a high level of defense. Can that carry through on the 3rd game in 4 nights? They have not been as successful in their domestic competition when facing such a tight schedule, but new opponents, maybe unfamiliar for their opponents, they need to lock down defensively and let the offense come to them, I think.
No doubt about it. One thing I credit Taoyuan for is adapting to the level of competition. These teams in BCL Asia East, they got one thing in mind. They want to get to the 2025 Basketball Champions League Asia, where we already talked about going up against the champions of the B-League, KBL, PBA, CBA, as well as 2 teams from the FIBA Vassal. So for them, going to that first game against NS Matrix Diz in that exciting double OT, they've learned very well, they've adapted, and they're a very collective unit.
We're about ready to tip off. It will be 5 p.m. local time, and coming up is the host, or part host, in the New Taipei Kings versus a new squad we'll be getting to know. As we see the 3 officials on screen, it's Yi Kyun Hwan, Isam Asiyabi, Rakesh Ramalingaya.
Well, again, a big thank you and a shout out to our referees. We've got 3 of the very finest. You've seen them work in BCL Asia. They obviously have done a great job in their domestic leagues, and many of them as well, international experience, Basketball World Cups. So again, we got 3 of the very finest, along with a big shout out to Mr. Kim Byung-gun, our commissioner and technical delegate.
One thing I also figure is that Bishrelt Mental probably also wants to control the possession game. The Pilots, I looked it up, won the rebounding margin in all but 1 game, the Saturday game against Pelita Jaya, where they were -3. You have more possessions, you have more chances to score, of course, limit your opponents. They also 0, +3, +6, -1 in the turnover margin. I think the Bishrelt Metal maybe want to create some havoc for the Pilots.
Oh, no, I agree. As you know, the key players in the starting lineup tonight, you know, Isaiah has got a huge job. That corrects Isaiah. He's got to be able to be a floor general tonight, try and slow things down, as you mentioned, but also Sukbat Batsari. We know the ball is going to Byron Wesley. He is going to be the scoring option. But if they can get something quick in transition, they got to capitalize. If it's not a high percentage look, they've got to go to the half-court game. And as you said, Ryan, slow the tempo of the game.
Over on the Pilot side, three-point shooting is supposed to be their forte, as we see Evangelos Zepelis will be calling the game from the sideline, as we use a, a baseball term.
Well, very experienced coach, former assistant coach for the mighty Vasilisa of Greece, Ike, 2018 FIBA Basketball Champions League winners. He was with them in 21-22, originally from Athens, Greece, and he brings a very interesting dynamic to this team, a different coaching philosophy. And one thing I admired, he's working very closely with his assistant coaches of Mongolia. Mongolian basketball, Ryan, it is on the rise. It is very professional, and the federation's done a magnificent job.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about the league getting their feet off the ground, and things are only going to be looking up. Over on the Pilot side, their team that started in 2020 in the Plus League here in Chinese Taipei, Alec Brown, Ling Zhen will be playing in the front court next to point guard Bai Yaochen. Travion Graham and Justin Lu Junxiang will have their opportunities from the wing position. Justin is the Plus League MVP and certainly a front runner in this season. He probably is the local player that other teams circle, but the Pilots have Alec Brown from the inside and outside, and Travion Graham's very lethal driving attack. There's a lot of problems the Pilots can cause on the offensive end.
Well, it's interesting. I was speaking with Coach Caminos before the game, and, you know, we were talking a lot about Justin Lu Chunqiang. And, you know, as someone who loves Chinese Taipei basketball as much as I do, you know, talk about the last decade, especially in 2013, the one player I like to compare him to is what many basketball fans here in Chinese Taipei would say is the GOAT. A lot of people are comparing him to Lun Chia. Now, he's still got a ways to go to get to that level, but, you know, what I like about Lu Chunqiang, Justin, he reads the game so effectively, never predetermines what he wants to do. And with Coach Yogi Caminos, you're talking about a man who started with, you know, Baskonia in the Spanish ACB Liga Endesa. And again, it's great to see a coach of his caliber working here not only in the Plus League, but also BCL Asia East.
Pilots were able to clinch a spot in the East Asia Super League and had a strong showing in their inaugural year. And now Justin hopefully taking some of the lessons from that season along with the teammates. Irgi did share that. He was really proud of the entire squad up and down for the way they perform and the way they progress. There was stiff competition, only falling to the Hiroshima Dragonflies in 3 games. I maybe should forget to mention, but the Hiroshima Dragonflies were also a Basketball Championship League Asia participant, so a strong club. And this Bishrelt Metal team is looking to make their mark as well. It's a long way to go, but how about tonight as a good showing?
Well, they've got to take a lot of positives. And, you know, you talked about the league, the professional league that's in Mongolia. They're now currently playing in the finals against the Broncos, the other team in Group B here in BCL Asia East. And they're down 2-1. So it will be interesting. We have 2 very high-caliber teams from very prominent leagues here in East Asia. We've got the Plus League in terms of Taoyuan Pauian Pilots, and, of course, Bishrelt Metal coming from the league in Mongolia. Look, the Pilots may be favorites tonight, but Bishrelt Metal, they've got to play within themselves. They've got to be able to come here, control the tempo, and try to make life very difficult. The one thing that doesn't go in their favor, they are averaging 14 turnovers per game. They've got to minimize that to make sure that everything is very smooth on the offensive end.
So our fist bumps and knuckles exchanged. The referees are setting the stage, ready for a tip. And from Xingzhong Gymnasium, about 30 minutes west of the capital, we're about ready to tip off here. The Pilots and the Kings are collaborating for this joint homestand. And they were the Plus League opponents in last year's Plus League finals. The newest edition about to start in the upcoming week. Lots of basketball going on, Josh. I'm glad we're able to take it in courtside. Up the score with a 3 of his own.
This is the problem, playing his zone defense right from the beginning. Your opponent makes 2 3-pointers, but now we have a turnover.
And Justin with the basket in his vision, gets the foul call. I believe that was Travion Graham's first three-pointer made. A little hard to believe considering how hot he was shooting in the East Asia Super League, which really challenges defenses, and now maybe giving everybody else a little reprieve until that first shot. So with a 6-0 lead, Justin will step up to the line.
This is always going to be a challenge for Bishrelt Meta. You give away 2 3-pointers after playing a very, you know, it's tough playing a zone defense against Taoyuan, but you cannot be turning the ball over. We saw that already. Basketbal Yagazaya, number 7 for Metal. He has to be the one that takes responsibility and keeps things under control. They got to be cool, calm, and collective in the backcourt.
Free throw shooting for the Pilots, however, has been an area that if you get in a late game situation, they might not be the most confident team across all competitions. Just about a 65-66 shooting percentage. A little two-man front over to Engtaba. Off the iron, and Travion Graham will collect the board. Alec Brown will move it to the left side. It is a weeknight, so perhaps we have a later arriving crowd to give the Pilots and then the Kings a boost as the evening goes on. A ball thrown out of bounds. Bishrelt Metal trying to get on the scoreboard.
So I like what Metal did there in the zone. It was more of a 2-1-2 at that point. And if you move in the zone, you close out. Pilots have been known to be one of those teams that sometimes they become a little bit radioactive. If they can remain active on that, the defense can be more aggressive.
Wesley's runner is short. Down court, Lington has to chase it and throwing it to the opponent. Trying to collect the dribble, and a back pass intercepted, and fast break going the other way. Lington. I don't know if it was a block shot or the rim. Need a little GPS to help him out.
So you talked about transition points at the beginning of the game for Bishrelt Metal. They come up with a steal, but only 2 players running. Somebody's got to be a trailer down the middle. Second chance points will be crucial.
To be fair, not easy to score against Alec Brown. And a ball out of bounds. It will be for the Pilots wearing their orange pinstripe jerseys. Never easy to go away from the classic white and blue pinstripes.
That's good defense by Pauian Chung, because you can see that hands up right away, doesn't commit into the defense. He has that size advantage. It's something Pilots don't get enough credit for. You know, whether it's the backcourt or the post interior, everybody does defend with perfection.
Ball screen for Travion Graham, again facing that zone. Justin, back to Travion, give and go. Easy offense for Justin, 3, no good. And out of bounds, they say off for the Pilots. Offensive rebounding might be something that Graham, Brown, or coming off the bench, Julian Boyd, really stick their nose in and cause some pressure for Bishrelt Metal, who can't run out if everybody's got a gang rebound.
So I think Metal may stay in this zone, not because of physicality or size mismatch, just probably to avoid getting into foul trouble. But one thing with Taoyuan, they cannot afford to overpass against the zone. You've got to go for the right shot.
Wesley putting his head down, a right hook shot. Not easy. Looking for their first score as Graham driving. Little transition basketball as Justin popping from the free throw. A little long.
And that's what Coach Seppelus wants. You come up with a loose ball, you got to convert it quickly. But I think with Taoyuan, cannot afford to get too casual here. Right there, you've got to be more calculated when breaking down the zone.
Transition foul. Batsulik on the April 5th game against Pelita Jaya, 16 points.
So I think what Seppelus wants from this half court, get into a pick and roll scenario quicker. Let's put the defense under pressure.
Yeah, the Pilots play as little zone as any team on earth, I'd bet. You know what you're getting scouting report-wise is a pump fake to the bank.
And that's a good move. I got no problem with that shot attempt. The problem for them, they're just going to have a tough time coming up with offensive rebounds this evening.
Now slipping as Alec Brown, look out, hit on the layup attempt. Too easy penetration, swinging the ball one way and a one dribble. The zone, when they collapse like that, it's not going to be easy to go up against the size that these Pilots imports have.
Well, the spacing's much better from Taoyuan. I think we've seen a few offenses already. You got too many players married to the three-point line. They're not necessarily going with the traditional high-low play, someone at the free throw line. Basically, they did try it in the first possession, but if they get their spacing right, they'll have no problem picking apart this zone defense.
the free throw made, it's an opportunity for number 99, Dugardin Sembuyar, to come in.
Well, he's going to have a tough matchup here as well because he's going to have to face up against Alec Brown. But points in the paint, they're going to come minimal tonight for Bishrelt Metal.
Back pass down low, and the new guy had an opportunity but stopped. Justin, a little 2-on-2, contact, no call. Ball going the other way, and Linton trying to stop Wesley commits the foul.
See, that's a tough one. It's a 50-50. That can go either way. But again, I guess the positive note for Bishrelt Metal, they've come up with the possession, and quickly they try to push ahead. This is the way that they're going to have to compete tonight against Taoyuan.
And absent the first couple games, number 12 is Jackie Lee Jiakang. Sure, Coach Irgi's and the staff happy to get him back out there. Pilots otherwise don't have any domestic competition for a little bit, having given a what we call first round bye, running up ahead and dishing it right to the opponent, intended for Travion Graham. That's number 12, Zorgit Batar.
Well, we've seen that motion a few times with them, those exact two players. And the only way I'd say you're going to defend it, you got to switch right away. You cannot come out and hedge, because if you give any space to Brown, the lob is going up.
How about another three? Will be brushed out of bounds by the Pilots. I also get the feeling that when you're in zone, if you collapse too much, the offense has the opportunity to dribble. Whereas if you have pressure defense, you have to force them sideways. Maybe those passes aren't there all the time, but it's kind of give and take with the defensive strategy. As
yeah, it's a good point. I mean, you want to give away as much space as possible. Any collapse, you're always going to have wide open shooters. But as we're seeing right now with Bishrelt Metal, they get into good looks to the mid-range. You're just not knocking them down, but as long as they're high percentage shots, you can't argue with them.
Batsulik, decent move, but the ball pops out, and Julian Boyd fresh in the game. And a foul on the sideline. Bishrelt Metal, there you see on the score bug with 3 team fouls. Be a sideline out of bounds.
And another positive that Bishrelt Metal can take away from this game, minimize as many transition points as possible. We've seen a team like Taoyuan so far here in the windows. You give away fast break points, it's a problem for you.
Now Batsulik in the middle of the zone as Alec Brown fires away. How about Wesley facing the entire Pilots defense? They will set something up. Number 4, Tumumbayar across. Pilots also like to switch a lot of their one-on-one matchups and then recover. Now a little bit more zoned up as Lee Jiakang with a takeaway. As passes up ahead over to JB. They'll have to earn it from the line. Julian Boyd, one of the best at taking cuts or drives himself to the basket. Might not be the tallest player, but 4 ACL injuries is not enough to stop him.
The problem with Bishrelt Metal, you've got 45 free throw line extended. Byron Wesley's with the ball in his hand. The offense is static. You can't expect someone to pass out of a double shot. You've got a flash get open or something. And this is maybe where these players need to come together. Make a backdoor cut, something. Make yourself a threat offensively when you don't have the ball in your hands.
Julian Boyd played a couple of games of the BCL Asia East in the group so far. This will be his 3rd. A 50% shooter from the field.
He's also a very versatile player, because what I've noticed about watching him play, if he's defended by someone smaller, he'll take them in the paint. If he's defended by a bigger forward or a center, he's got no problem taking them on the perimeter. Having that versatility in this game makes him very dangerous here in BCL Asia East.
Now Julian Boyd will be the only import in for the Pilots, as number 2, Tanure offer up a little bit of assistance on the ball screen. Now on ball. Batsulik keeping the dribble alive, putting it up. No. Too early to count on a change of baskets for better fortune. Pilots with a 15-point advantage. Linton now in the middle. Down to Boyd, kind of a cheat code. Wide pass to Jackie, fires anyways, it was close.
So that's good defense on the zone. You know, the post entry's there, you force some baseline, you contest a shot. That is what the positives Bishrelt Metal's got to take away.
We'll have a minute to go as Batar from the free throw line-ish area.
But these are all good looks, Ryan. They're open, they're off the dribble. You've got to keep going to them. They're high percentage looks, you can't stop shooting.
A poke from behind, now a scramble as Taoyuan, he was hit on the pass. And it should be bonus free throws. Yes, it is.
And it's a poor foul to give away because you can see where they've been disciplined in the past few the defensive sets with the zone. You saw 2-3 gambles there. What happens, it culminates in a foul. And as you mentioned, you put the team into the penalty. You can't go away from your defensive discipline principles.
Taoyuan at the line. Return to action mid-season, having recovered from a pretty serious leg surgery. Pilots and Pilots fans, Uyunzo with the lay-in to beat the buzzer. A 23-7 first quarter is now in the books.
Well, the worst thing you could do against a zone is over-dribble it. They're trying to come off a screen scenario. I've got no problem with that. But when you're taking too long to get in that set, too casual, you cannot afford mistakes like that. But credit to Bishrelt Metal. They come up with a turnover. What do? They convert it quickly to 2 fast break points, but still down by 16.
I tend to agree with you. If you cover up the score, which is very difficult to do and certainly not in keeping with the spirit of the competition, I think just looking at the floor, those shot qualities, not too bad. They kind of went away from those really tough contested layups early. If it's a jump shooting game, you're gonna have to live with that because that's what the Pilots are offering defensively.
Yeah, you know, credit to coach Evangelos Tsepelis. I mean, the score will tell you the story of where these two teams are at, obviously. But if you look offensively how Bishrelt Meadow have played, they've tried to get things quick in transition. They've also tried to go to a dribble handoff, pick and roll offense. The fact is, they're up against a very good defense. They're contesting for offensive rebounds. And the only thing he can demand his players to do for the next 3 quarters of this game, keep playing for pride, keep playing within ourselves. Let's stick to our game plan. Because when they go home and they play in the window in Mongolia, they'll have a whole fan base right behind them, and that will change things very much. They still have an opportunity to qualify in 2nd place here in Group A. There are only 2 wins behind Pelita Jaya.
It'll be an interesting chase because ideally you win as many games as you can, but mathematically they at least need 1 more, and then the penultimate game against Pelita Jaya, the last of 3 games. And they also have to overcome a big score difference, but that's all a little bit of speculation. So far on the game, Bishrelt Metal led by Sakbat Batsulig with 5 points. He's going to be playing some center and trying to prove that that smaller big still has that offensive punch and the mobility to do some damage. And the Pilot side, none other than Justin Lu Jingxiang with 10 points. He leads their side. So cross cut and a deep 3 launch, but bricked, and playing center in this rotation for the Pilots, Lington getting a 35-foot rebound.
Well, that might be the one time the shot selection I've disagreed with them on. Maybe slow it down a little bit, take a bit of time to get a good look.
Lington from the inside, and the help defense maybe have drawn through the foul. It's kind of a rare thing that they're going to go to Lington on a seal underneath the basket.
Well, that was what I was just about to say is, you know, he identifies the back 3 in this zone. He has the height advantage to them, and he does it so quickly because you've only got 3 seconds to be in that key. He seals them off quickly. 1 little drop step, he's going to the free throw line. Very intelligent play by Lington.
You know, coming up this summer is the FIBA Asia Cup, and in the very first qualifying window, Lington actually really was a standout for many years. Fans were kind of anticipating and looking for more from him. And he really showed out in the home game against New Zealand, I remember.
And that was a very competitive group, the likes of Gillis, Filipinas, and also Hong Kong, China. But, you know, I'd say with him, there's still a lot of improvement, but, you know, nonetheless, a very good player.
Man, and the draw, we're going to see rivalries even that more intensified as the pass goes wayward. And looks like another count to 5 moment for the Bishrelt Metal head coach, who is now seated. Understandably, you don't want to commit the life insurance completely paid off in 1 go.
That is the benefit of having someone like Alan Brown in the paint. And unfortunately, you know, I want to give Bishrelt Metal, no, I don't say unfortunately, I want to give them credit. They had an opportunity for a 2-for-1. But you know, if you got Alec Brown in the paint, you've got to go for something different.
The two teams will head to the locker rooms with the Pilots ahead of the game, and it looks like we might have some extracurriculars we'll have to break down, but when it comes to the basketball, there's the shooting splits on the game. The Pilots, probably the only poor mark to stay on the game, is 6 for 13 from the line. Bishrelt medal, we say penetration, it creates problems for the opponents. Now if you can draw some fouls and earn it from the line, that point's just the same. Rebounding, big advantage to the Pilots as well, 28 to 14. And so many times the Pilots are getting putback opportunities right underneath the basket. Everybody needs to come down and help. But the medal do have 7 steals on the game, so everything they just need to keep turning up. We're moments away from the start of the second half. Taoyuan Pauian Pilots against Bishrelt Medal in the Basketball Championship League Asia East competition. There's the scoreline from the first couple of quarters. The Pilots demonstrating that first double OT game against the NX Deer Matrix was actually more of an anomaly, as they've done quite well in this group play.
Yeah, no, you go back to that first window, of course, when they did play against NS Matrix. It's on the road. It's a new competition as well. And as I've said, they've learned, they've adapted, and now they're showing how good of a team they are coming, especially from the Plus League. But look, you got to get to the Final Four. You've got to win. And even if you do make it to the FIBA Basketball Champions League Asia, you're up against the champions of the KBL, the B League, the PBA. So there's a lot, for them to learn this season. But, why not them? Why not now?
And we hope to get to know the teams coming out of West Asia as well when we keep on continuing to pay attention to the competition. Here's the final sequence in the first half, as a frustration technical foul was earned.
Well, I understand Coach Evangelos Tsepelis' frustration, because it was a 2-for-1 for them. They were much better in the second quarter than they were in the first quarter. And I think you're not going to get points in the paint from an inbound play, especially when you got Alec Brown as your insurance policy as a rim protector. So I think he was probably thinking, try to get the ball to Byron Wesley. If not, let's get something on the perimeter. But these things happen as a coach. He's not like throwing the ball to anybody. It's more frustration. We could have done better.
Already with 17 points, Justin Lu Junxiang.
A much better game from him today than the previous game against NS Matrix Deers. And I think if it's one area where I would criticize Taoyuan in that game, is they were a little bit too comfortable in that game against NS Matrix Deers. Today, they've been focused straight as an arrow right from the beginning.
At this point of group play, you look at the NX Matrix Deer and head coach Felton Seeley continuing with that message of you need to focus on our P's and Q's and develop, as Justin, a tough take, be a board for White.
And go to that game as well. And we're seeing that today here with Byron Wesley with Taoyuan's defense. They knew in that game with NS Matrix Deers, it was all about John Wesley Murray. Defensively, they've done their game plan and they've been much better. Ball
on the deck, Alec Brown. Involved with Sogunsurin Lagvakchow. We'll stay with Medal.
Well, Pilot's going to heavily defend Wesley. Question is, what do you get on the perimeter from this play?
How about that inbound play, but short on the shot, and Lagvakchow with the board.
That's where I've not been too critical of Bishrelt Medal. They have competed for second chance opportunities.
Crossing over, Bayouton sticking with the assignment and assist. That is a good value on one play. Graham out of bounds.
One thing I noticed about Medal's offense, they go to a pick and roll offense, but then when they don't get anything from it, it's like the confidence drops. They drop the heads. If it doesn't work, bring it back out. You got another 14. Go for another ball screen. Set as many as you can to disrupt Taoyuan's defense. But it's almost like they don't get something. Oh, well, now we freestyle. Now we turn it over. They cannot afford to play like that.
I was just coming from a broadcast days ago from a different competition, and what these two teams were battling out, their pick and rolls were relentless, I would use the word. If a big man set it on the right side, they don't switch. Then he immediately sets on the right side and almost forcing a switch like that. It's not quite, what do they say in the NBA, a switch screen, but that relentlessness might be something they need to consider, especially if they have their best handler and their best screener in combination.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. And I think, the tough part for some of these players of Bishrelt Medal is usually they're used to the ball being in the hands of Byron Wesley, but today he's got to play point forward, He's got to be able to be on the perimeter. He's not 100%. But when you are setting a ball screen and you've got Alec Brown, Siobhan Graham defending the screener, the job is to make him shift, make him move. It's been too comfortable. And that's what I'm saying. If it doesn't work, bring it back out, kick it back out, go to another ball screen. You've got to continuously make the defense run like a cycle.
Looks like personnel changes incoming for the Pilots, and the screen I was thinking of is the Verjao screen. It might be a different way of running it, where instead of approaching right, then scampering over to the left. So Lee Jiakang will take Bayouton's place on the floor.
Well, we did see them run one Spain action, the Spain sequence, which is,
I kind of missed it,
the back screen for the screener. But they haven't run it since. So go to it again. Give yourself, give yourself another option on the perimeter. Mix it up a bit.
I think especially on that first play on offense, maybe later it'd be a little harder to set up. You got 24 seconds on the shot clock. Wesley triple teamed as the drive, the floater, and a whistle comes for the Pilots defense.
So now they've shifted it up. They come out of a timeout of a dead ball scenario. It's a dribble handoff. What happens? You get a few handoffs, the defense shifted. It's a penetration into the paint. Arguably, they could have kicked it out into the corner. You get a high percentage look from the perimeter, but at the end of the day, you go into the free throw line. You give yourself something from the offense.
Hector Zorigbatar scoring for the first time tonight. He's a guy that will get plenty of rotation minutes, north of 20 minutes in the first and north of 25 minutes in the second game for Bishrelt medal in their BCL Asia East games. Jackie taking a tumble, and he's in trouble. And a 8-second call is made.
And that's a huge positive to take there. They've gone out of the zone, now they're into a man-to-man defense. You can match up a little bit, be a little bit more aggressive. Look, nobody's got 3 fouls. The only thing you want to do when you go back into a zone is someone does pick up a third or a fourth, or multiple players do. But take the pride, take the solace knowing you forced an 8-second violation against the best team in Group A.
And a counter steal by the Pilots. Now in space, Jackie's looking for JB, and the ball is deflected, and a swish with a 3 by Batar Uzunio. As a look out, a whistle, and a free throw's coming up.
Talking about playing for pride, you make a three-pointer down the other end, but it's the fact where, at this stage, when we talk about giving away less transition points, everybody's just got to sprint back, get into your own three-point line, just get ready to defend. Look, what are they down right now? 39 points. You can only play these next 9 minutes and 31 seconds for the name on the front of the jersey.
Well, after making the 3, Oyonzo is actually fouled out of the game, making his BCL Asia East debut after a DNP back on March 25th. Taoyuan shooting these free throws.
What I like about Taoyuan is, he is such a very versatile, intangible player. I think what Coach Caminos likes about him is the extra effort he offers in the backcourt. He's not one of those players that chronically needs the ball in his hands. There's already good players on this team. He's an excellent role player in my mind.
Tough take, but there was a whistle. Wesley will counter with a trip to the charity stripe himself. Wesley almost had a triple-double in Bishrelt medal's debut. 34 points, amazing. 9 rebounds, very good, and 8 assists. Doing everything. A little bit of everything, and how about some love from the rim?
Well, he's got a very interesting story. He's played in the west of Asia. He's also played in North Africa. And his first professional contract in Europe was playing in Qatar, Finland. So it's interesting the dynamic and the leadership he does bring to his team. But, it's going to be a very tough task for them. But going home in that final window of BCL Asia East, that will do them a lot of confidence.
Really excited to put the stadium there in Ulaanbaatar on the international competition map. Saw it some last year, and back again for more basketball as in transition with momentum. Maybe need some better spacing. They have possession. Number 0, and in Dokto out to number 10. Still off. And Boyd is taking it. Rifles a pass to Zue. To Lisa. Ball on the deck all over the place, and play is stopped. They will count it. I don't even know if Julian Boyd looked at the basket there. He just put it up and let the chips fall where they may.
Let's have a look at the replay. I think Coach Evangelo Tsepelis, I think he's probably asking the question, is there a potential travel there? But on the other hand, the foul is made just possibly before the contact. I mean, it's could have gone 50-50. But going back to Ulaanbaatar and the progression of basketball in Mongolia, listen, Chinese Taipei's got a historical great culture when it comes to the game of basketball. But if it's anything I've seen, whether it's the national team in the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers or hosting the former BCL Asia qualifiers, is that the professionalism and the high standards.
Yerdin Dokto. He had 2 points on my notes in previous BCL Asia East games. Well, I think we just saw the most amazing 2 points from this Bishrelt middle team up in the game. Here goes again, swung, and this time misses the layup. Looking at the defense, like they took his pocket change, and then a awkward tumble by Boyd. Hopefully everybody's all right.
Well, Ryan, I think there is a saying that they have in Mongolia, and I've learned this very quickly from the fans from that putback dunk. It's simply Zugir, baby. If there's any positive they'll take away from this game, a putback dunk, that's a definite big highlight for them.
Based on the degree of difficulty, the level of athleticism, just look at that play. You would have thought they would have killed their opponents. That was, as borrow a phrase from my partner, simply incredible.
You know, we can talk about the positives of Taoyuan tonight, but for them, they're very well balanced. You know, you've got a very lethal backcourt. You've got a great scorer in Liu Chun-Chang as well, but it's also the size and physicality you have. Tonight, we've had Julian Boyd. We've also had Alec Brown as well as Trevon Graham. This is a team who, in my mind, I think they can compete and get to BCL Asia's final tournament in June. But we'll still have to see through the Final Four.
Julian Boyd showing off the dribble moves. That cone work pays off as leads away, leaves it short, and here comes Bishrelt Middle, a 2-on-3. And the Jiakang backs up, and from a famous MC in the programs of Florida, finish your breakfast. I do like the aggressive play, kind of catching that numbers disadvantage as Julian Boyd forced into a miss. We got 4 minutes left in the ball game. Doesn't look like many personnel changes will be coming up.
Well, they want to get some good possessions here. They don't want these last 4 minutes to be too scrappy. Like I said, you've got to finish on whatever positive note you can. You just don't want to scrap this off.
Swung around, a man on the baseline, and a foul. See, on that last swing from the right wing, I believe it was number 8, Exot took a dribble drive, and then the help came from the same side. So that would be the easy pass for an easy look. As you see, JB with the second personal.
Yeah, I mean, also, it's a case, I think, where you've seen with Taoyuan's defense, you know, they're also very good at changing and picking up very quickly. But, yeah, the help comes on the close side. You're right, that's probably the better pass to go to. It's also the angle of difficulty of making that pass as well.
Okay. Middle, a 1-2-2 pressure front as Tenlison has it squirt behind him. And a backcourt violation.
And this is what I like here. Coach Zeppelin, his players haven't thrown the towel in, but they're also not very reckless. You go into a little bit of pressure, as you mentioned. You force a turnover. It's those little positives you've got to take away.
A take layup all the way to the basket support.
I think they'll take a lot more than that going off the bucket. But, again, put on that press. Make Taoyuan, force Taoyuan into another turnover.
Yep, it's a have fun with that as the buzzer sounds. The Pilots have won tonight's matchup and have won 3 straight here in the friendly confines of Xingzhuang Gymnasium. There's the line score across. Bishrelt Middle, as we mentioned, are short-handed with a number of important personnel not available for tonight's matchup. And of course, they've had to make the long travel all the way from Mongolia. There's the shooting splits, where the Pilots didn't settle for as many three-pointers. They sure hit them at a good clip, but really their size advantage and their team play resulted in a very high-scoring game. And Bishrelt Middle, once again, playing short-handed, had some good spurts of defensive play, changing things up from what it originally was exclusively a 2-3 zone to some mixed 1-3-1 looks, even man pressure, and even a little 1-2-2. But in any case, they'll be heading home, suffering their second loss of the BCL Asia East competition, as my partner Josh is heading onto the floor for the interview with the player of the game. And I think we'll all be in for a treat.
Of the game, Liu Chun-Chang, Justin, a better performance from you in the previous game than NS Matrix did. What do you think made you play better today?
其实这两场球就是一直尝试着寻找自己的手感，对，那今天感觉还不错，然后也很开心今天赢球。
he tried to find his feeling in the last 2 games, and he feel good today, so and we can get a win today.
Defensively, your team was brilliant. What do you get? How much do you credit your coach for how great you guys are on the defensive end?
我们守得很好，然后你觉得你觉得有多感谢教练们，还有我们怎么准备这个比赛的？
其实就是我们都一直打得很团队，不只是防守跟进攻啊，对，然后也很感谢在座的那个乘客们，然后都来到现场帮我们加油。
We play team basketball no matter offense or defense, and also thanks to the fans cheering for us.
Now, you're going to the Final Four of BCL Asia East. You win that, you will go to the FIBA Basketbal Champions League Asia, where you'll be up against the champions of the B League, CBA, KBL, as well as FIBA Vassal. How much would it mean to you and your team?
日韩，然后那些对。
Stay by stay, yes.
Lu Cheng, 谢谢, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks for Lu Jingxiang and the team translator Ko for joining the post-game coverage with a player of the game interview. So the Pilots and a Bishrelt medal will give way to the upcoming game. The New Taipei Kings will be playing in their second BCL Asia East game against our visitors from Singapore. There's the Pilots across 3 games here in the window 3 of Group A.
Well, we just had a chance to speak with the player of the game, and you could tell the professionalism of him. You know, he just wants to get better and better. But, you know, Ryan, first of all, I want to say a big thank you for joining me on the broadcast. I'm going to head to the post-game press conference. So those watching live on FIBA's platform, stick around as we'll get to hear from the coaches and players of both teams. Statements from both coach and player, and we'll have time for questions from the press. Coach, tough game of course, but just obviously say from how you felt this game went for you and how you look forward to hosting that window in Mongolia.
Very tough game for us. We have a lot of problems. Some players have injured. We have one broke nose. A lot of problems. We play with only one import, but this is only excuse. I think the energy for the game is not in this right level. We try a lot, but it's not enough.
Thank you, Coach. Byron, tough game of course, passes in the game, you're excellent. What do you think will be the key thing for you going into this final window, knowing there is a chance you want to potentially finish second place in Group A?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a tough game today, but we just gotta bounce back, try to regroup. We all trust each other here.
So we're confident in what we're building and the steps we've taken this season. Obviously today was a step back, but we're not going to let it define us. We know if we win 3 games in the next round, we have a chance. So that's what we're going to focus on.
Thank you, Brian. Would like any questions for Coach or for player Brian from the press? Coach, just one last question from me, of course. Beginning of the game, you guys gave away 13 points. What do you think that you needed to adapt to in those early moments to allow your team to show a spirited performance in the first half?
First of all, we need rest because we play day by day in the last 1 month, I think. This is a big problem for us. Now we have time. We have 8 days to rest, to fix everything, and I think the next games that we have in front of us is not the same energy. We play for the win, and who knows.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you for going into the final win, and also all the best to you in the finals in the league as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Well, hello, welcome back, everybody, to the post-game press conference now with head coach of Taoyuan Pauian Pilots, Coach Caminos, and Justin Liu Chunqiang. We'll get an opening statement from both coach and player, and then we'll open up for questions from the press. Coach, congratulations, undefeated, booked your spot in the Final Four of BCL Asia East. What does this mean to you and your team?
Happy for the win, happy to really be sure that we are going to be on this Final Four for this team on this moment, and on the way that we have to be playing soon the finals of the P-League. Is really important to go with this confidence, and maybe on the way that we play today, we play aggressive. We know that they have the problem of lose Devon Scott recently, one of their best players hurt on the last game on their local finals. But I think that the mentality and the activity that we have from day one on this window to this day 4, the team back to have rhythm of the game, back to have better feelings, and happy for the win, happy for how we share the minutes, happy because it's a season that we are going to be in another final. We have the EASL, now we have the P-League, and be on this BCL Asia East Final Four is something to be happy and be ready to go there and fight.
很开心可以拿下这场胜利，让我们可以就是顺利的进到下一阶段的4强，然后是带着分组第1的姿态进去。那我们是很快后面就要打到霹雳的冠军赛，那这场比赛可以让我们就是更有信心，然后我们比赛中也同时保持着侵略性，让我们可以去带着这样子的侵略性去准备到我们霹雳的冠军赛。那虽然我们是知道说对方是少了一些主力，像是他们的洋将 David Scott， 还有他们的本土一个主力也是在冠军赛他们的冠军赛的时候受伤，那这场比赛我们就是持续保持积极，找到很好的节奏。那彼此球员们也分享彼此的时间。那我们就是之前有在东超进到决赛，现在我们又可以又打到 BCL 的决赛，我们就会很好的去做这些奋斗。
Coach, just another question, of course. The significance of sweeping all your games. Compare it to that very first game in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, NS Matrix D. It's an exciting game going to double overtime, but now you've proven yourself to be the best team in this group. What has been the key thing to, learning from that first game and now seeding yourself as the dominant team in Group A?
First thing from the fan game, maybe is the AC that we have on all the 4 games, because Malaysia was unbelievable, humid and really difficult. My players have problems to breathe, and a game that we control good till 3rd quarter. Luckily, we save it. We keep fighting on that double overtime, but especially I think that is nothing that we change is the mentality that we always have. Be a team that always fight, that even on a game that was to look like go up, go down, we fight till the end. I don't think that changed too much. Sometimes it's the moments on how we travel there, the middle of the league, but we are being the same team and happy to for example, today Jackie Lee Chiakan was back after having an injury. Kwan was able to play, but we decided to rest. So happy to have everybody healthy and ready for the last part of the season.
就刚刚的题目是问到说，我们从第1场打到马来西亚是苦战到2次延长才拿下，到我们现在是全胜分组第1，我们中间是有什么改变的关键，或者是我们从第1场有学到什么教训？但是教练其实是说，我们第1场跟马来西亚是打到那么困难，其实可能关键是在于那边没有冷气，因为那天马来西亚真的非常的潮湿，然后我们球员打到后面甚至呼吸都觉得有点困难。那我们那场比赛是3节领先的情况下，后来还好有2次延长赛都有拼下来。那其实我们从第1场到现在这场，其实也是没有改变什么心态，我们都是持续的去努力做好我们该做的事情，不管我们状况是好的还是坏的，我们其实都继续拼。那我们今天是李家康，他有伤愈归队，那达佑虽然他是有些受伤，是今天是可以打，但是我们保险期间还是没有让他打。那我们就是保持着我们持续的好的心态去面对所有的比赛。
Justin Liu Chunqiang, first of all, congratulations. You've been a magnificent player in all the windows so far. But the question I have for you is, you as a team have already had, an experience in already another competition internationally. But this experience could see you go up against the champions of the B League, the CBA, the PBA. What did you guys learn from that first international experience, now take it into this international experience with BCL Asia East?
自从有东超的经验之后，就是其实大家看我们领航员这整体的年轻的球员都是其实有来自提升的。我们打得越来越团队，然后也打了很多的分享球，对。然后我觉得这个经验就是对我们整个球队是有很大的帮助的。那已经有东超的洗礼之外，然后到后面BCL 的 final 的时候，我们一定会觉得表现会更好，因为我们已经有很多的经验，然后去面对他们，应该不会再像是一支年轻的球员。
With the experience from other league, other competition to now, we play BCL. Everybody know we are a team with a lot of young players, and now we play more and more team basketball. We share the ball a lot, and this experience help us a lot to face to the BCL final because we have a more experience. We are no longer look like a young team.
Thank you. I'd like to open the press for questions for both Coach Yogi Kamenos and Lu Chuncheng.
我讲什么？就是刚刚问俊祥，卡总有提到这个比赛可以顺便准备一下 P 的冠军赛，那你自己觉得怎么样？
其实就是这3场球就是一直持续找自己的感觉，比赛的感觉。因为其实在月底之前的时候，自己也是有休了一段时间，那我也试图的去找出一些比赛感觉。那也知道最后冠军赛的对手是谁，那也就是全心的去准备，然后去面对冠军赛这样。
About preparing for the P League final. Last 3 games in the BCL games, he tried to find his own feeling because in the end of month he didn't play all the games. He had some games he didn't play. Now we know who we play against in the final B League, and we prepare it for 100%.
Any more questions for Coach Yogi Kamenos and Lu Chuncheng?
就是想问卡总，就是他是 P 的最佳教练，今年度还有3年，但是他28张票拿了27张5分，差一张，1 vote， 差一张5分，对。那对于这个，他会不会觉得有什么想法？
I will be honest, I don't care the coach of the year. Last year I have one, it's at home, it's taking dust, my mom had to clean it. What I want is play a finals that we are already on the finals and win something that I have to share with all my team that is a championship. I don't care these individual awards. I mean, it's something that if someone didn't vote me, I feel that he have his reasons. Because, for example, the season of Tainan is really to take a value, how Coach Corner take this team from zero, how he improved them, how they fight. You see how they put Braves on this semifinal. So I'm pretty sure that that vote was for him because he really made a really good job also.
老实说，卡总其实他不是非常的在乎这个年度最佳教练的奖项。他去年有得过一次，然后他现在那个奖项其实放在家里积灰尘，他妈妈还要帮忙去清那些灰尘。那教练比较在乎的其实就是我们后面的冠军赛，希望我们可以得到这个冠军，让他可以有这个奖项，可以跟所有队友们一起分享。那他知道说，虽然有人没有投他，但是其实没有投他一定有他的理由。像他自己也是觉得，像猎鹰的教练 Corner 教练，他从零建立起了这支球队，让这支球队带到很好的强度。他们在系列赛也造成勇士一些麻烦。那相信这个票一定是投给他的。
Any more questions?
I want to be respectful. We have pre-finals interviews on Sunday. Here, there's the BCL Asia. I think that we have to be talking about this competition when we qualify for this Final Four. I understand that you want to talk about the P League, but Sunday you can go to our practice and we can discuss about our opponent, okay?
就其实我们现在应该专注在 BCL， 因为我们今天打 BCL 比赛，那因为我们后面还有 BCL 4强。那其实礼拜天也有 PD 的记者会，我们之后可以再讨论更多 PD 的事情。
Coach Caminos, Lucian Chang, thank you very much. Shesheni, all the best. Muchas gracias.